Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, President Rodrigo Duterte says the country abhors the Ayungin shoal incident and calls for restraint in the South China Sea. A presidential aspirant's team experienced firsthand China's warnings in Pag-asa Island. And later, President Duterte reiterates claims on a presidential bet linked to cocaine use. Presidential aspirant and Senator Panfilo Ping Lacson joins us live. President Rodrigo Duterte expresses grave concern and, quote, abhors the Ayungin shoal incident where 3 Chinese Coast Guards blocked and fired water cannons at 2 Philippine-supplied boats last week. The president made the remarks during a special summit between China and ASEAN on Monday. Meantime, a presidential aspirant has experienced Chinese hostilities in Philippine waters after a recent Pag-asa Island trip. President Rodrigo Duterte made that remark again during an ASEAN summit and with China on Monday. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have presidential aspirant and Senator Panfilo Ping Lacson. Senator Lacson, welcome to the source. It's good to have you again, sir.
Yes, good morning, Ms. Pinky. Good morning to the viewers.
So on your way to Pag-asa Island, that was last Saturday, as I mentioned a while ago, you experienced firsthand, you heard this radio warning from Chinese authorities. I would just want to go back to that. Let's listen to this.
Approaching our business, please stay away to the area and leave immediately. Action is unfriendly and dangerous. This is Chinese TV. You are approaching our military alert zone. Leave immediately in order to avoid misjudgment.
Well, Senator Lacson, how did you feel upon hearing that?
It wasn't unexpected kasi even before we flew out of Puerto Princesa, I was already warned by the Westcom Commander, Vice Admiral Enriquez. Sabi niya, sir, pwede kayo ma-challenge yan as you approach the Pag-asa airstrip. So hindi na rin na unexpected. We were already anticipating that we would be challenged. But still, yung feeling, nandun pa rin yung why. But my mindset at the time, as I already stated before, na there was no backing out for me because sabi ko, this is my country, this is our country. I don't know how my companions felt, but I was just talking to myself inside the plane. Sabi ko, this is my country. Wala silang karapatan na i-challenge kami or pagsabihan kami to stay out. How can I stay out of my country? And the warning coming even from a foreign vessel.
But imagine hearing that you're approaching our military alert zone when in fact you're going to Pag-asa Island na meron po tayong, nandun po yung mga Pilipino, nandun po yung ating airstrip, kakatapos lang po din yung tinatawag na beaching ramp doon. And yet you hear something like that. How did that make you feel?
It was more anger than fear. In the first place, wala namang backing out talaga kasi we were within our territory in the first place. So yun talaga yung mindset ko. And we had gone that far, and it was not, in my mindset to back out or withdraw and go back to Puerto Princesa. Yun ang aking very clear na mindset. Whatever outcome, basta tutuloy kami.
Hindi ho ba siguro mas maganda marinig na you are entering the Philippine military zone?
It was up to the pilot actually to make that response. Kasi kami pasahero lang eh. Ang kina-challenge actually yung pilot, hindi naman yung passengers.
Yeah, but imagine you have a senator experiencing that firsthand, pero yung mga piloto natin and siguro hindi mga officials ng Senado naririnig yon. But maybe, as mentioned nga po sa inyo, this is something na paghandaan mo something that you expect na mangyayari po ito. Does this mean, sir, that we will just accept that? Yung pagpunta ulit ng Pag-asa Island, let's say another time that you will go there, do we just accept it as is?
No way. We should not accept that. Ano? It was totally unacceptable. Especially when we landed, nakatanggap pa kami ng text messages. Halos lahat ng phones, yung one particular telco, no? Hindi naman, isa lang kasi yung cell site doon. Sabay-sabay halos, simultaneously, nakatanggap ng text message na welcome to China. At nag-o-offer ng 10 days free and so forth and so on. So I noticed that nobody laughed about it. No, parang it was a surprise because hindi naman na-warn sa amin yun from Puerto Princesa. Ang sinabi lang sa amin, most probably you would be challenged. Yun lang. Pero hindi namin akalain, pag land namin, meron pa palang ganon na welcome to China. Of course, technology yan eh. Pag mas malakas yung cell site nila, yun talaga yung makakapag-superimpose dun sa cell site natin. Because as I was talking to Lieutenant Senior Grade Celian, sabi niya, meron nga isang cell site pero mabagal yung kanilang internet service pero okay na. Alam mo yung mga tao doon, medyo mababaw yung kaligayahan. It was only last June when they started having 24/7 supply ng electricity. Before that, it was run by generators and the whole island would only have access to electricity parang 8 or 10 hours a day. So pagdating ng 10 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the evening, wala na, totally dark. So slowly, but in fairness to the armed forces and to Secretary Lorenzana, there are constructions going on there. Merong ina-extend na nila yung airstrip from 700 meters to 1,300. At saka yung mga road network, medyo nag-i-start na rin. That is why from 193 living souls inhabiting Pag-asa Island, umabot na ng 454 or almost 500 because of the construction workers. Kasi naka-outsource naman yon. And I was talking to the project engineer, ang sabi niya, project nga raw yun ng DND. And the first thing that came to mind, sabi ko, pagbalik ko sa Manila, tanungin ko pa yung AFP kung ano pa yung pwedeng augment sa kanilang budget for 2022 para ma-improve pa yung facilities doon, especially yung military camp inside, yung JTU, Joint Task Unit na naka-station sa Pag-asa Island.
All right. I just want to go back to what you said earlier na sabi ko, ganito na lang ho ba talaga yan? Sabi niyo po, it's unacceptable. So what should be done? Let's just start with that. Doon sa Pag-asa Island, first-hand experience, you were challenged, pagdating niyo po doon, yung mobile phone niyo, welcome to China, sabi niyo nga, hindi po ito acceptable. Ano hong dapat gawin ng gobyerno?
Well, on top of filing diplomatic protests, we should be more assertive. And I'm thankful that the President came up with a very strong statement. For the first time, we heard a strong statement from the President. And what could be a more appropriate venue than the ASEAN Summit. So, huli man daw at magaling, okay na rin kasi at least it was the Commander-in-Chief himself, the President of the Republic, who issued that very strong statement. He used, as I heard sa introduction mo sa program, abhorrent, yeah. Abhorrent. There could be any better word. There could not be any better word than abhorrent. Sa ginawa.
We abhor the recent...
Yeah. At saka alam mo, Pinky, maganda yung development because after the November 16 water cannon incident, the United States itself issued a very strong joint vision statement actually. This was done in coordination with the Philippine counterpart. Ang notice namin doon, may mga difference na yung sa posture nila before. Kasi if you notice, yung sa Mutual Defense Treaty, it only makes mention of the Asia-Pacific region. Kasi an attack on the Pacific Fleet sa dagat, deemed as an assault or an attack sa any Philippine vessel also and vice versa. Pero doon sa kanilang joint vision statement, it specifically mentions West Philippine Sea. Whereas before, parang nakalimit lang yung statement sa Asia Pacific region. Pero ngayon, klaro, sinabi na nakalagay na doon pati yung West Philippine Sea. Another thing that we noticed, it made mention of the Mutual Defense Treaty, of course, it's a 70-year-old treaty. Tapos, finalo pa ito ng mention ng Visiting Forces Agreement that was signed in 1999. And then, followed up further noong EDCA, Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, signed naman in 2014. And may commitment sila doon na sinabi na they're ready to enhance yung facilities sa Pilipinas under the EDCA, including funding requirements. So parang may message sa China na yung West Philippine Sea is not their domain. As a matter of fact, it is within the large area in the West Philippine Sea, actually is covered by the exclusive economic zone ng Pilipinas within the 200 nautical mile limit or radius. So yon, things are developing well. Even the European Union issued also a strong opposition to the demeanor of China in challenging and in assaulting with water cannons yung ating supply vessels na pumunta doon last November 16.
In fact, Senator Ping, a number of them, you have the EU declared its opposition doon sa nangyari on actions that endanger security and even underscore the importance of freedom of navigation and overflight. You also have Japan, you have Australia.
That is correct.
As you mentioned, you have the United States. Hearing all this, statements being released by these countries, what should the Philippines do? What should the Philippine government do now?
That has always been my position, even long before the November 16 incident. Look, since 2011, 211 such incidents already occurred. And we have filed almost daily, no exaggeration, pero ganun karami rin halos yung diplomatic protests, but to no avail. And it's only now that parang merong awakening, not only on the part of our leaders, but yung sa ibang countries as well. I have always been advocating or espousing for what I call the balance of power. Kasi we cannot do it alone. We are a very weak country. Masyadong degraded yung ating military capability. So we should seek alliances, stronger alliances with our allies, other countries, not just the United States, but as I mentioned, European Union countries who are very much willing to assist the Philippines in this regard, Australia, Japan, and the other ASEAN countries. So yung balance of power kasi, this is not to provoke war, but to prevent war. During the briefing, I got this information that at least once, yung United States, merong US warship that entered right in the middle of the contested areas. It was also challenged.
Right.
And they just invoked the innocent passage, yung right of innocent passage.
Freedom
of
navigation, yeah.
No, not necessarily freedom of navigation, pero ang sinabi
nila
yung meron innocent passage, Ang freedom of navigation, it is doon sa sea lanes, pero ito mismong sa loob ng yung right where the contested areas are located. Masyadong malakas yung presence ng China doon. And when the US warship was challenged, wala lang, sinabi lang ng ship captain na innocent passage yan. They're invoking innocent passage. So wala na, hindi naman sila challenge. So what does that tell us? Na kung may balance of power, kung mas malakas, kung kapantay ng lakas ng bansang China, ang puwersang nandoon, wala rin, hindi rin sila gagawa ng marahas na akbang, not even an assault with water cannons. Ang masama doon sa supply vessels natin, nasira yung isa because they always go there in tandem. Kasi every month nagre-resupply sila. At that point, November 16, 2 weeks na lang kasi yung yung supply na naiwanan, yung bigas, And they were about to install the metal plates na kasi corroded na yung yung
Right.
barko, pati yung platform. So nadala na nila before yung mga metal plates and i-install na sana. So hindi natuloy because nasira yung isang vessel. They had to go back because talagang since October 28, no, may build up na talaga. For whatever reason, yun ang tinanong ko sa Westcom. Ano ba yung intelligence assessment dito? Kung napansin niyo since October 28, consistently or yung parang continuously nagbi-build up yung vessels. Dumadami yung Coast Guard vessels ng China. And yun nga, nag-build up hanggang November 16, yun nga, na-water cannon na sila. Tsaka tinaboy talaga. After that, Secretary Lorenzana, I was told, called up the Ambassador Wang, no, the Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, and issued a strong statement against the water cannon incident. Ang katwiran sinabi lang, akala raw nila, ito yung justification na nakakatawa, akala raw nila magre-reinforce yung mga sa tropa natin doon sa
Sundalo.
Sierra Madre. Sa Sierra Madre.
BRP Sierra Madre.
Una ko naisip, what if mag-reinforce? Because sa atin
exactly,
yun
sir.
That's only a shoal. Anong masama kung mag-reinforce tayo ng tropa or halimbawa
magpalit
change doon sa area or mag-reinforce? There's no problem with that because that's ours. So yun ang mga, and ngayon as we speak, parang nando na yata or about to arrive yung supply mission papunta doon.
Senator, there's so much to talk about but I might forget this. Ipapasok ko lang, no, because Secretary Lorenzana said na umalis na po yung barko papunta sa Ayungin sa BRP Sierra Madre, and the Chinese ambassador assured him that this mission will not be impeded, but meron daw pakiusap na walang escort. Is that even acceptable to you? Na may mga ganung pakiusap na walang escort?
Yeah, was it really pakiusap or demand?
Yun po ang nakita kong report. Ang sabi,
yes. Yeah. That's a diplomatic way of saying it. Pero anong masama kung mayroong escort? Sa atin yung Ayungin shoal.
Yeah nga, sir, but that's where I want to go. You were asking, was it a demand or was it a pakiusap? Whether it was a demand or a pakiusap, bakit may ganon? Acceptable ba yun na walang escort?
If I were Secretary Lorenzana, I would do my thing. What I think would be in the best interest of our troops. Pakiusap, so kung ako, I would make sure na secure din yung ating supply vessels na pupunta doon. Pa-escort, not to provoke, but I think it is within our rights to assert na tayo yung mag-decide kung meron bang kailangan ba may escort o wala. Kasi if not, well, that says a lot on in the aspect of asserting our sovereign rights in that area, or sovereignty for that matter.
We need to take a very short break, sir. The source will be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, presidential aspirant and Senator Ping Lacson. Sir, I heard you a while ago, yung sinabi nyo nga, the president issued the statement, ginamit nga po yung salitang abhor. What I want to find out from you is this. Was that statement made belatedly? Was it a little too late? Kasi gusto ko po balikan yung sinabi nyo during an interview, I believe, in Pag-asa Island. Ang sabi nyo po, atras kasi tayo ng atras, kaya nawiwili sila.
Well, even if belatedly said, sa akin, mabuti na rin na nasabi. And in a venue na nakikinig yung mga ASEAN leaders. So sa akin, no matter how late, it's still good that the president issued that strong statement. At least to awaken not just China, but the other stronger allies. Maganda na rin yung responses nila. So let's leave it at that, and I hope it continues. And I hope the president remains consistent in asserting our sovereignty and our sovereign rights over the exclusive economic zone. Kasi sinabi niya, ginamit niya yung dalawang yung arbitral ruling pati yung agreement na pinag-usapan. So I think that's good. That's good enough, and that's a good indication. No matter how late, I should still thank the president for issuing that statement.
So I want to go back to what we were saying. Sabi niyo nga, diplomatic protest, this could be an exaggeration made every day, halos araw-araw dahil dito. Pinag-usapan niyo nga, very important, you said, the balance of power. And you said this is not to provoke war, but to prevent such a thing from happening. But let's get into specifics, sir, if you will. Yung nangyari po sa Ayungin shoal, ano pa ang pwede natin gawin? Kasi isipin niyo ho, barko natin, tao natin, winotter cannon na lang ng gano'n para pumunta sa isang lugar, the BRP Sierra Madre, located in Ayungin shoal, to resupply. Whether or not, sir, China thought it was reinforcement, to which you don't, to you. So what if it was reinforcement as well? Ang tanong ko po, what now?
Well, we should be more assertive. Hindi yung, di ba dati napaka-accommodating natin. We're already being bullied and yet we don't do much, But this time around, mabuti. Yan, that's one step taken by the president, leading to being more assertive, and followed by, this should be followed up by more positive action, yung definite stand natin position regarding the West Philippine Sea. And this should be followed up by the strengthening of alliances with other countries, as I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Hindi pwedeng rhetoric, or I'm not saying that rhetoric yung ginawa ng presidente, pero dapat merong mas positive action towards that end, na makipag-usap na tayo. For one, I would suggest, although this could be a medium or long-term solution, yung Mutual Defense Treaty with the United States should be revisited. Kasi medyo argabyado tayo doon. Yung ginawa nila with Japan and Taiwan should be the model. Kasi sa atin, yung inassault tayo halimbawa within the Pacific region or yung vessel natin, kailangan pang humingi yung kanilang Defense Department ng permiso sa kanila sa US Congress. In our case, binding na yon. Pag inassault yung inattack yung American or yung vessel sa Pacific, obligado na agad tayo to react or to respond.
I see.
And there should be more strengthening do sa language. After all, 70 years old na nga yung Mutual Defense Treaty. And I think this is the right time. The timing is ripe for our foreign policy leaders to suggest to the United States to revisit. Ang tingin ko, papayag yung Amerika rito para ma-strengthen pa yung provisions do sa Mutual Defense Treaty. And we should also seek alliances with other countries, like-minded countries, like yun nga sinabi ko sa EU. Of course, Australia is always, we've been talking a lot with the Australian ambassador
That's right.
from time to time, and we always mention that. We always talk about the West Philippine Sea. The Canadian ambassador, when he paid a courtesy call sa amin dalawa ni Senate President, ganun din, sinabi niya they're more than willing to patrol the area in coordination with our armed forces.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. But going back to Pag-asa, I'd like to, kasi gusto ko lang naman bigyan ng credit yung mga tao doon, especially the troops who are stationed there. The first time I saw them, alam mo, 193 lang yung tao doon. First time I saw them, kita ko agad yung, alam mo, yung patriotism in their hearts, And my heart goes out to them for staying there. Even the two teachers, there are only two teachers assigned in the, and there's only one elementary school. Yung two teachers catering to 34 students. But, they stopped studying, they stopped acquiring education after finishing grade 6. So yesterday, during the plenary debates sa budget ng Department of Education, I requested them to make use of their funds, their budget, under the so-called last mile school program. Meron sila niyan eh, doon sa mga malalayong lugar, mga isolated. Kasi ang tanong ko nga, kung after finishing grade 6, ano na nangyayari sa bata sa Pag-asa? And the nearest place to go to high school is Puerto Princesa, which takes at least 1 day to travel. So talaga na, stunted na talaga yung growth, yung mental growth ng bata doon. And they promised to, at least kung hindi makapag-put up ng high school facility doon, at least integrate na lang nila and to send another teacher, a third teacher who could teach high school students. So I think that's one good positive step, and it's a good thing. I don't regret going there kasi may mga nakita akong pwedeng immediately aksyonan kaagad, mga plano maaksyonan. And you know, first time that we heard about a marine research center location in Pag-asa Island. It is unmanned but newly refurbished. No? Hindi ko alam, hindi ko nakita yung facility sa loob kasi naka-lock. But ang initially naisip ko kagad, January magsesend yung UP because it's under the auspices of the University of the Philippines, DOST, and other agencies. Ano? So aside from sending our UP scientists or DOST scientists to the area, why don't we invite foreign scientists as well? Because I think they will be interested to get involved because the West Philippine Sea area, masyadong malawak ito at saka very rich in aquatic resources. And parang subliminally, kung mayroong mga foreign scientists doon, parang naka-enhance na rin ng defense posture because China, knowing that there are foreign scientists, say from Europe, from the United States,
idea,
parang
sir.
they will think 10 times before invading the island, you know. Which is a possibility, by the way, Pinky, ha? Because as I was talking to Lieutenant Senior Grade Celian, sabi niya, yung nakapalibot na mga Coast Guard vessels, nag-a-attempt from time to time to encroach even within the 3-mile radius. So that's so near. Sabi ko, anong nangyayari pag nag-a-approach? China-challenge nila, nagba-back out naman daw. But why would they encroach within the 3-mile radius? Sabi ko, baka may plano yan. No, just like in the Ayungin shoal incident, nag-build up ito from October 28 hanggang November 16. So the threat will always be there na yung Pag-asa, which is the only inhabited, because yung Pag-asa Island is the only barangay in the municipality of Kalayaan under the province of Palawan.
All right, Senator Ping Lacson, it is 9:30. We're going to have to say goodbye on television. Hindi po ako nagpaalam kay Senator Ping kung pwede siya mag-extend because he has a budget hearing. So I'll see later on kung papayag po siya. But in the meantime, sir, I want to thank you for this opportunity and also giving us a glimpse of Pag-asa Island and what can be done. I hope, sir, yung mga pwede nang gawin, maglagay ng teacher doon and even foreigner na scientist there might really be a good idea. Sir, thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you. We should encourage migration para talaga ma-establish natin yung island is part of the Philippines. Thank you, Pinky.
Okay, thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.